Are we on the air?
And we're back. This is Third Coast Radio, man. This is your host, Kamikaze the Kingmaker. I'm in here with the cool kids. Hey, Renee, Dreon Santana, House of Mars. We got Ariel in here. We got DJ Java in here. And of course, as we told you a little bit earlier, today is going to be our Industry Insider segment. This is the segment that we have for all of the aspiring independent artists out there, man. We're going to give you a little bit of game so you can educate yourself on how to navigate this music business and how to navigate the independent music waters, as it were. So we're going to have some folks on here who are on the other side of the curtain, behind the scenes, that can give you some tips and give you some insight on what you need to do to be successful as an artist. And we have rejoining us. This is not his first time, because he's been here to give you game before, but he's back because we in the new studio.
Right.
We got the closet, we're in the new studio, so we're in Studio A right now, so we got him back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have attorney Kamel King in the building, the copyright king.
So something happened to me 2 days ago.
Okay.
Let's get straight to it. I'm on the clock.
Hey man, yeah, and that meter was running immediately. That meter was already
As soon as he
running.
looked at me,
I mean, even when you,
let me get my cash out real quick.
when you cut the sentence off, you was at $10. Yeah, you was at $10 right there, right off the top, man. That's where he's gonna be, man. So Kamel, you in the building, man. You are known. Your alias is the Copyright King. So you are very in tune with showing artists how they need to copyright their work, and not just artists, but companies in general, on how important it is for them to copyright their work. And we're gonna talk about that because it's a very important element. But today, I want to talk about, our very first interview that we had when we moved into this new time slot was Reese and Bigelow. So we talked to Reese and Bigelow about, their recent success with the viral song and how they got hooked in and how it was important for them to this time have the paperwork together. You were very instrumental in helping them to put that together. So just talk right off the bat about, how this came across your plate. And kind of what were you seeing was the situation when they called you and said, hey, this song is going viral, he's called us, he's looking for some information, we're trying to get our stuff together. How did that all come about?
Well, brother, you know how it came across. You referred. Start out with a little self-glorification.
Sometimes, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
That's $10. There you go.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I absolutely forgot.
Did you?
That I referred you to them.
Did you?
I actually forgot.
And I called you back. Exactly.
You did.
And then I called him back.
Because
told him.
sometimes I get those calls and people are like, who can I talk to do this? Who can I talk to do that? And I'll be just like, hit such and such, and hit such and such, and then I go on about my thing. And, of course, Reese and Bigelow are some of my peers. So, when they called me, I was like, just hit the mail.
Well, when you a kingmaker, the Rolodex just keep on flipping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. Well, after I called you, and after I called them and told them to holler at you, when they explained it to you, talk about point A and we'll work our way down to point Z on this thing, because it's a pretty big deal.
Most certainly. Well, first of all, again, thank you for referring them. I, of course, was always fans of them growing up. Seeing their rise, being deep in the hip hop element, when they were in their heyday and were superstars, and still are.
Yes,
absolutely. And so, always having a lot of respect for them as artists, as writers, as trendsetters, because they didn't sound like anything from anywhere else but here. And I remember listening to their music and having so much pride. And then, of course, we all know as a state what ended up happening.
Yes.
And so no need to rehash that. But what ended up happening where, things probably weren't protected in the right way, and, it costs a lot of money once things happen and you got to try to reel them back in.
Right.
And, I think the whole city, the whole state mourned a long time. I don't think I ever got over it.
I mean, there was a definite chip on the shoulder.
But it was good. Because I think we all took that as motivation to get right and to really power through this industry and not to stay down. So it just shows you how God works.
Yes.
It really shows you how God works. It is a testimony, how God works, how you know, beauty for your ashes. You know what I'm saying? The money stored up for the wicked is for the saints. In
All
the
right,
end.
now, okay.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Preach it now,
So it
attorney.
just
Somebody get it played out.
pass it on round now. Pass it on round.
And we actually paying him for that. Has to play around for himself.
Well, yeah, just you know, when they gave me a call and told me the deal, you know, it just goes to show these guys wrote that song 20 years ago plus for somebody who was overseas. I mean, that goes to show you how people from all over the world have been visiting Mississippi, trying to get some of our drip, you know, and some of our roots and nutrients, you know. So you never know what'll happen, and that song ended up being #1 on TikTok. I mean, 1 gazillion views and plays, and you know, once it moves into a space where it's now in the stratosphere and it's now gonna be licensed and people want to use it in different spaces, in different commercials, you know, the paperwork has to be right. So fortunately, because it was moving to that type of space, they needed to make sure the people who really were involved, which these guys 100% wrote it, you know, was shored up so that they wouldn't have a blowback. But I mean, they could have done it the snaky way too, and we could have had to been on the offense to go after it.
Right.
But that's again, that show you how God worked, because He did not make them go through the same thing twice. And
He was very accommodating up front, according to, you know, what they were saying in the
Yes.
phone calls. If you're just tuning in and you're just listening, we're talking with attorney Kamel King. We're talking about Reese and Bigelow having written the big TikTok hit, My Money Don't Jiggle Jiggle, It Folds. That was really huge on TikTok, millions of views. Reese and Bigelow from Jackson, Mississippi actually wrote that 20 years ago for this gentleman, and he was overseas. And he called him up and said, hey, you know, I want you to get what y'all deserve
that's right.
from this. So as an artist, so we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of it. As an artist, when you have a situation like this happen, a situation similar to what Reese and Bigelow have, and a lot of artists now are getting that because they're going viral now, what are the first things that they need to be looking for, and what do they need to be thinking about when they start seeing these numbers begin to uptick?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know for them and in general, the first thing they needed to secure was percentage on what did they write, and securing it in paper and in stone, what was their writing contribution, and then publishing contribution. You know, publishing is things that come off of radio, that comes off of TV, you know, satellite radio, Pandora, all of those type of things end up paying into publishing, but licensing ends up being a real big part of the pot. And fortunately, this song has done so well that it didn't stay in the space of just TikTok and then money coming off TikTok. It didn't stay in the space of just YouTube and, you know, money coming off of YouTube. It didn't just stay in the streaming space. Now you got Amazon, you know, wanting to license it. Now you've got Uber wanting to license it, you know, and it being used for the Christmas season coming up. And you got what you would think would be a square company, but I mean, who does the most trending commercials and has the money to do it? Insurance agencies. So even insurance has reached out, you know, so all types of things budded off of that will feed back into after we secured the rights and secured what they are supposed to get in their ownership. And, you know, we were very firm, you know, in our negotiation because it wasn't no doubt that they wrote it. So in all actuality, they should be getting 100% of the right, but you know, you got to break bread, and you know, a piece of a gigantic pie is better than 100%.
So talk about that, because they
pie.
did write the entire song.
Yeah.
But you know, of course, it was this particular gentleman, you know, posting it that helped it to go viral. So in those situations, if you're an artist and you say, I wrote this whole song, but you know, 20 years have passed, you know, everyone knows this guy is the guy that's doing the song, you know, he is taking our property and he's performing it.
Right.
What do you do when you sit down at the table then, when you're saying, I wrote 100% of this, how much of a concession do you think you need to be making as an artist?
That's a great question, man. And only somebody who's been doing it would ask something like that. Really, you know, it's all in negotiation, and you've got to feel it out. Because the thing is you can hold on to something real tight and you can kill a deal. You know, you can hold on to your rights. And now, I don't say don't do that, but you can hold on so tight that you can squeeze the life out of a deal. So you got to be careful about being stingy, but you also, if you know what you did and you know what you contributed, stand on that, you know, and that's where you bring somebody like me in, because I don't have those skills. I can't rap, I can't sing, I can't play any instruments, I can't draw. You know, the Lord done blessed me with those talents, but I love to negotiate. I love to feel people out. I love to, you know, listen for nuances and things that people say, to know that I can move the needle just a little bit more if I push. And then that's what a client will hire me for. So we just move the needle as close and as far as to getting them as much as they could without, you know, hurting the deal and everybody. Because I mean, if it wasn't for the artist, you know, it never would have boomeranged back.
Right. So I've been seeing a lot of artists get their trademarks.
Right.
As a person that's listening to the show and that's an artist that really don't know how to do that, what are the steps that artist needs to take in order to get their name trademarked?
Call the trademark king. The copyright.
There it is.
There it is, right?
Right. Trademarking is, man, it is really the highest protection you can have. You know, it's paramount. It's in comparison to copyright, but it's more expensive. It's more involved. It's got more steps to it. I would say get an attorney. You know, get someone like me. Get somebody in the IP, intellectual property space. Don't just get somebody to do it. Don't do LegalZoom. Don't do those automated things, because they're not gonna, because on the other side of a trademark application is a trademark attorney sitting in Washington, D.C., who's getting your application, and they're applying objective trademark laws subjectively, you know, as they see it when they're looking at your application. So what you need is a human being who can, you know, go back and forth with them to try to get it approved. But yeah, right now I'm working on 3 trademarks for 3 clients in a whole new pop rock genre that is like blowing up underground, you know, but these guys are securing their names early as they're getting big, because somebody can come along, take your name, and then hold you hostage for it. Or you got to change your whole branding. You know, they got people with squares with bifocals as thick as glass, you know what I'm saying, as drink glasses, sitting back, just buying up trademarks and then extorting people, you know. So, you know, sharks come in all kind of colors, you know, shapes and sizes, and, you know, and sexes. You know.
So I want to know, did the Copyright King inspire you to be an attorney, or did being an attorney inspire you to be the Copyright King?
Oh, that's a good question. My partner, PT, you may know him, he has a store in North Park. You can't walk past his t-shirt stand without him getting at you, Bubble Boy and all of that. That's my guy right there. He's the one who named me that, and when I finally hit it big, I'm gonna drop him a bag. But my dad inspired me to be an attorney because he's been in the music industry. Shout out Lee King, that's my heart, you know. And he's a super OG, super vet and everything. So watching him, I knew I wanted to be in entertainment, but I knew I couldn't do what he did. You know, I wasn't built the way he was built in that way. He took a lot of risks I probably wasn't ready for, you know. But mine was in logical thinking, you know what I'm saying, negotiation, you know, really trying to outthink my opponent, you know. So, and he always made me read autobiographies every summer, you know, about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and all of the people that use laws to change the world. So that all just fused to come out to be this, and then the Copyright King was a marketing tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a marketing
It's
tool.
catchy for sure.
Shout out to PT.
Okay.
So, as someone who is, you know, into the music and, you know, helping people, you know, basically help their legal things, stuff like that, there are maybe a lot of new, you know, comers coming in who may want to follow into the footsteps of the Copyright King. So what are some trials and errors that you face that you could lend some advice to those who may, you know, want to try to avoid those type of mistakes a little bit?
Okay, if they wanted to do
Yeah.
similar things, I would say, you know, the biggest thing is, you know, you're gonna have to go to school. You know, that's an unavoidable part to do this. You know, it's so many other components of music that don't require a formal education. You know, but fortunately and unfortunately, this one does. So get prepared for school. Get prepared to make good grades. Law school, LSAT. Passing the bar. You're gonna have to buckle down and get it. So it's a scholastic point to it that you gotta be ready for. But outside of that, just being immersed in the culture. I always play with him, watching them at the coffee house perform. You know what I'm saying? Being in the culture put nutrients in me, growing in this, so that I just didn't come out as an L7 with a law degree talking about I want to do this, and nobody knows me, and nobody know, I don't know anything. I just know book stuff. You got to be in it, and other part, get a mentor, get somebody who's doing what you're doing, and get up under them. And I tell people all the time, mentors and people who got more knowledge than you, they tell it early in the morning and after the work is done, which means you got to be there early, you got to stay late. They ain't got time to give you game while the time is ticking.
Right.
They don't have time to download to you everything. But when they see you there early, or they see you late and you willing to do anything to just be involved, then they gonna give you the game. So get up under a mentor, and then remember, this is the entertainment game. So there's no protection. Even though I'm a lawyer, and you would think that that's a little more clean than being an artist or being an artist, it's not. I'm on the same roller coaster. So you have to have a level head. I've always lived two notches below my means at all times, because I'm a part of a game that is topsy-turvy. So I don't ever live at my means. I live a level or two below my means. So you got to ride the game out like that. You can't keep up with people.
So you're responsible for getting a lot of placements for a lot of producers. So just talk about some of the producers that you've helped to get placements, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about producers out there that are listening to this show right now that produce for a lot of indie artists, and the best route for them to get placements, because they're always getting placements, and sometimes they go about it the wrong way. But talk about some of the people that you have helped to get placed, and with some artists or with some labels, and then we'll talk about the production piece.
Yeah. A lot of times, and this is the fallacy, a lot of times people will come to an attorney and say, get me a deal, where it's different functions for different people. That's something that they should be talking to you about, and then as a manager, you apply and ask them questions and figure out a strategy to, okay, what assets do you have? What do I bring to the table? How can we grow it? And then how can I shop you? That's not a lawyer's necessary function. I don't go out and just span the trying to get a deal. Usually a client already has something going on, and they're bringing it to me to correct it and put it in the right format and make sure the deal is right. But placements, I've worked on, to God be the glory, a lot of placements. And even more, the more latter in my career that I get to be a part of this, we've gotten placements. I just finished reading the contract for a new NBA YoungBoy song. I probably have been a part of 8-9 songs with him. Lil Durk, 42 Doug, Black Youngster, a ton of Rod Wave songs. Just a lot of A-list people, and these are people who are here.
Yeah.
One of my biggest, most prized clients, I've been representing him and his parents since he was 14, and the kid was knocking out platinum hits from his room in Madison.
And who is this?
His name is Alan Kelly. He goes by AKL, produced by AKL. And this mastermind kid with great parents, great supportive parents. I mean, made connections through Instagram and things like that. This kid is knocked out. I asked him the other day, how many platinum songs and gold songs do you have? And he was like 5 platinum songs.
And he's how old now?
He's 16 or 17 now.
Wow.
Yeah, I hope I ain't blowing you up too big, Alan. But I mean,
he deserves that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but Alan, and great parents. Shout out to Dennis and Sandra Kelly. They really.
You got to get him on the show. Actually,
Yeah.
He's a wizard. He's a wizard. You know,
That's what's up.
yeah.
That. So if a producer is coming to you, and of course, as an entertainment lawyer, people come to you all the time and say, hey, get me a deal or do this, this, and this. If I'm a producer and I'm trying to shop some music, or I have, a prospective deal on the table for someone to purchase one of my songs, how do I come to a lawyer? What's the first thing I need to do in retaining your services? How much does a lawyer usually get in these types of deals? And when should someone know that a lawyer might be taking advantage of them or getting too much of the deal, or, when to, or how to navigate these particular situations?
If a producer has an opportunity like that, the time to reach out to an attorney is as soon as the song is finished and paperwork is starting to be generated. Do it before the song comes out. Now, the flip side of it too is depending on the side of the industry, country works different than gospel. Gospel work different than blues, and blues work different than hip hop. So the culture in hip hop is do the song, put the song out, and then do the paperwork. Even for the big boys. But the thing about it is, you put the song out and you haven't already cut the deal with my client. We got leverage at this point because it's either do the deal like we want it or pull the song off. But then again, you can play too hard of a ball and put a bullet in the person's career. And they say, okay, well, we're gonna pull the song out, but you ain't gonna never work with us again. So you got to be careful, how you moving your chips. But as soon as the song is finished and the conversations of what we are supposed to be getting and paperwork starts to get you pull the lawyer in, and then there are nuances of a certain percentage of royalties a producer will get, a certain amount of publishing they should never give up, a certain amount you will have to, there's a certain amount you should never give up because publishing is the mailbox money, that's the long money.
Absolutely.
And then a lawyer, typically it's either gonna be by the hour, a flat rate fee, which I do that for a lot of clients here so that I can keep costs low and they can calculate the cost versus running a clock on them. That just, you can't help people and break their pockets. Yeah, you can't,
lawyers run that
you can't
clock,
help people and break their pockets all the time. At the same
We
time.
about
So now I'm in a
500 at
rush.
this point.
Oh, it's about 1,000.
We about 1,000.
Right.
Easy.
Right.
We are stacking.
Oh,
Right.
you heard that? 1,010.
I'm telling you, look, and we round everything up by
And round it up to the hour. There you go.
Yes, sir.
There you go. And round it up to the hour, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. So, if an artist, wants to get in contact with you, or artist wants to get in touch with you, kind of sit with you, and of course you telling them, what the fees would be able to do that. What should they do first of all, get in contacts and
Sure.
means of how to get in touch with you.
Well, certainly. You can. I answer my own phone, so Now I work with Frascona Law Group. Shout out to XMF, Mr. Frascona, Mike Frascona, and his whole family. M3, Marty, Shaughnessy. I mean, everybody, Janice, everybody over there. We just Mike Frascona is a maverick of a entertainment attorney. He is. I can't begin to tell you how genius of a man he is. And he took me under his wing, fresh out of law school, and I've been with him mostly, so I'm back with his law group now. Everybody does know I do work with the state of Mississippi.
Yes.
That's my full-time thing in tourism.
Yeah.
But in law, I work with the Frascona Law Group. But you can contact me at 601-207-4448. On IG at the Copyright King, same thing on Facebook. I ain't on TikTok or nothing like that. I just peruse. You can get me anytime. I'm always available, always open.
So, real quick, because I want to stress this, especially when we're talking about young artists. This is always a piece that I try to impart on them. The importance of getting an entertainment lawyer versus a lawyer. A lot of artists, if I want to try to cut corners, or I've got a cousin who has a law firm,
Right.
and they do some divorce law, and I can get them to look at this, because I can get it free, or somebody in the family. Explain why it's important that if you are doing entertainment, or copywriting in any sense, even though the legalese might be identical in some instances, why it is important, and why there are entertainment lawyers and not just one set of lawyers and everybody practices everything. It's kind of like doctors. There's disciplines that go with this. So explain why it's important that you go to an entertainment lawyer as opposed to just getting somebody who, does, accident or, divorce.
Most definitely. Great point. And I found a lot of lawyers jack a lot of people's stuff up because they are not entertainment lawyers, and a lot of times they've been screwed it way up. It's so many different nuances, and I know I keep using that word, but it's just very particular, fine thing with it. If you like doing this every day, it's the same way you have somebody who is a brain surgeon, and then you've got somebody who's an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and you've got somebody who's a foot doctor, and you wouldn't mesh the two like, oh, my foot doctor is out, so let me go holler at my, at my dentist.
Right, right.
You wouldn't do that.
Right.
And it's the same thing as it relates to attorneys in this space right here. Somebody who does something else will really mess you up. You need an entertainment attorney because this is what we do. I don't practice any other law. I mean, other attorneys at the firm do. I just don't have a big enough brain for all of that. I only do this. So I live it every day.
Yeah, that's cool. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamel King in the studio.
Thank y'all so much.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Industry Insights.